Hello and welcome to the FanDuel Punch Out. I'm Big Italy 42. He is Christopher Ruckus at Space Jam 23 DFS. And of course, we're talking about tonight's action on FanDuel. Nice short slate here as it is on a Thursday. Only 6 games and not a lot of pitchers that really catch my eye today. And I think you're of the same thinking. Not many guys that really stand out. Your obvious top option here is going to be Johnny Cueto at home against the Giants. Only concern he's really had this year is some home runs. He's given up 7 on the season, but the Giants don't hit a lot of home runs. And obviously, Vegas agrees here. Johnny Cueto minus 165 favorite, 7-run total in the small ballpark in Cincinnati. So he's got to be your obvious top option for tonight, right?
Yeah, I don't even think it's even close. I mean, the only other one I actually, with price considered and thinking about quite a bit, I think my second option, believe it or not, is Drew Hutchinson against Houston. For price, I mean, he's 800 cheaper. If, I see Tyson Ross, but I know you've been watching the Nats. We've both been Nationals fans of late. Dude, they stroke the ball, man. They crush the ball. So I think I'm Cueto like 95% and then another 5 for Hutch.
Yeah, I can see that. And one guy I'm going to throw out there for tournaments is Roenis Elias. Boston has actually been the third worst team in the league, among the bottom in the last 7 days. Team WOBA of 244. Hutchinson was the last guy that got to him a couple days ago. They just have not hit the ball well at all. Hanley Ramirez doesn't look right. David Ortiz hasn't looked himself. And Elias hasn't looked bad in his 3 starts. 9.66, 11, and 9 fantasy points. 6, 8, and 5 Ks. I think he's an interesting tournament option tonight against this team that has really been struggling at the plate here for 7K.
Yeah, no. I don't mind that at all.
Yeah, outside of that, I mean, you could look at Doug Fister at San Diego. He doesn't strike anyone out, though. He's an okay cash game play, but not a guy that I'm really targeting. For me, I'm with you. Mostly Cueto, mix in a little bit of these other guys, and that's going to be it for me.
I think tonight, if you guys are looking for like higher owned type players, I think you might see a decent amount of people pivot over to like Tim Lincecum.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, I think you might see that, which I'm not a huge fan of. I mean, in Cincinnati, I don't really love that. GPP play, Joe Kelly, 6.9K. I don't mind him against at Seattle and Safeco. I think he makes for a good play. I think he's pretty athletic. So this sounds crazy, but sometimes when you're looking at GPP plays, athleticism I like to look at with pitchers. You'd laugh, but if there's just athletes I like to target because they have this upside that maybe someone that's not as athletic, they're just not as talented too. There's been tests done with athleticism and skill, and I mean, I don't mind Joe Kelly tonight. Absolutely not at Safeco.
Yeah, that's not a bad call there either. And as long as he gets his command under control, because he had I think 7 walks in his last game, obviously an aberration. So I like to think he'll get that under control today. Got a couple interesting catchers here. You got Yasmani Grandal against Bettis. I don't know much about this young pitcher for Colorado, but I'm going to be definitely targeting him as much as I can with this best offense in baseball against right-handed pitching. You've got, of course, Russell Martin going against a bad righty and Roberto Hernandez. And then as far as cheap plays go, not a whole lot to like here. Maybe Devin Mesoraco gets back in the lineup today. He's $2,400. If so, I would love to play him here. And outside of him, you look at cheap options. Jason Castro has a couple home runs in his last few games. He's an interesting option. Really no one else, unless something opens up in a great lineup spot, that I'm looking at a catcher today.
Yeah, no, I'm with you as well. I don't think catcher doesn't prove much. I mean, if you're not playing Drew Hutchinson, Evan Gattis isn't in a bad place. Yasmani Grandal, obviously, and Russell Martin. I mean, you said the 3 of them. I can see a pivot over to Brian McCann. I don't, mind it against Erasmo Ramirez, but other than that, it's pretty light pickings.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's move on here to first base, where there's usually a ton of options. Not a lot of great ones today. You got Joey Votto at home against Lincecum, 3,700 is an interesting play. Mark Teixeira's got shown a ton of power. He gets Erasmo Ramirez now, which is going to be a nice, interesting matchup for him. Ramirez got rocked, then he was a little bit better. Still not a very good pitcher in my book, and obviously Teixeira, switch hitter, could do a big number on him. Edwin Encarnacion, a couple dongs the other day. He's a nice tournament option, and if I'm paying up, though, my top option is definitely going to be Adrian Gonzalez tonight at 4,500.
Yeah, I mean, that's an awesome price tag for him, 4,500. One thing I'm looking at right now is David Ortiz. Something going on with him?
Yeah, he's not hitting the baseball. Other than,
Other than
other
that,
than that,
I mean, his price tag. I get the matchup and all that. His price tag is just a little bit low for me. Obviously, GPP play. I think you're only two with price because I don't think I'd ever play Edwin over Adrian Gonzalez tonight. I think the only other one is your boy Joey V. Uh, I think that's that VO double T is who you got to roll tonight. Those are my only two. There's just not a lot.
no,
There's really not a lot at first base either.
no, there's not. We're gonna go ahead and start here. Go from the bottom to the top here at second base because there's one cheap option I don't think is in a bad spot. He batted fifth last night. Logan Forsythe at $2,500 I think is an interesting option here. Corey Spangenberg's another guy who has been swinging a decent bat recently. He's only $2,500 now. Tonight he gets Mr. Contact pitcher and Doug Fister. I don't think he's in a bad spot. Then once you look up a little bit more expensive, you got guys like Robbie Cano going against your boy Joe Kelly there, who Robbie Cano's starting to get it going, still not showing any power, not hitting great, but at 3,400 without a lot of great options, I'm looking at him. And then if it's not him, for me it's going to be Howie Kendrick. Once again, going back to the Los Angeles Dodgers, Howie Kendrick is pretty good in those righty-righty matchups as well. So I'm going to be going back to the well with him.
All right, I got a question for you then. You have 3,500 left for your second baseman. You can take Devin Travis at Houston against Hernandez, or you can take Howie Kendrick against Colorado and Bettis. Who do you take?
I mean, it's tough. It depends on, I guess, where Devin Travis hits. I like the fact that Howie Kendrick bats cleanup a lot of times here in this lineup, so he should have lots of RBI opportunities right behind Adrian Gonzalez. I definitely like that. So
Okay.
I'll probably go Kendrick.
Okay. If Travis bats second,
Yeah, I think that's fine.
it's close.
I mean,
I think
yeah.
it's close
It is very close.
because I think I prefer the park in Houston, so it's close. But going to shortstop or third?
Let's go over here to third.
Alrighty.
All right, moving on here to third. Josh Donaldson, as we know, has tons of power against a righty. Roberto Hernandez, we already mentioned him. Todd Frazier just keeps going yards seemingly every night. He's got power against righties and lefties. He's got 4 home runs in his last 9 games. So obviously big time upside with him there. Elsewhere, I don't love a lot of these third base plays. You've got Kyle Seager there, who's an interesting play at home against a righty as usual, $3,200. I think he makes for a fine play. If you're not going with Roenis Elias, Pablo Sandoval is the guy who struggled his last 2 games but was really getting it going right before then. I think he's a nice tournament play at $3,200 as well.
Yeah, so that's actually what I was going to mention to you as a tournament play. I think he's a really good tournament play because I think his price point I think he's priced appropriately. I think 3.2K is fair. I think he could probably be a little bit more, but it's hard because A-Rod's 3.4. So I guess when we look at it like that, he's priced appropriately. Given that, I think A-Rod is underpriced at 3.4K against Erasmo Ramirez. I like him and Todd Frazier and Josh Donaldson. I mean, those are your big three. I think tonight you're going to see a lot of people just kind of in GPPs run multiple lineups and just, okay, I got A-Rod in this one, Frazier in this one, Donaldson in this one. I think those are your top 3. And then the only one that I'm going to talk about, punt option, if you're not playing Hutchinson, Mr. Valbuena, 2.8K is a pretty sweet price tag for him considering, Chase Headley's 2.6, Kyle Seager is 3.2, so he fits right in between there. I think that's a nice tag for him.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think he's got a lot of nice upside. Like you mentioned, it's only a 6-game slate. We're going to see a lot of guys making lineups, switching out 1 or 2 players. I think that's a good way to go as well in tournaments. Moving on to shortstop, once again, Troy Tulowitzki gets a lefty, excuse me, but he hasn't been hitting the ball well. He's 4,300. He's obviously in play in tournaments. Not a whole lot of places to spend tonight, so he should have plenty of money. Matt Duffy was batting second yesterday. He probably will not be tonight because that was against a lefty, so don't expect that once again. Brad Miller's the guy that's hit it, so we're going to really hot bat right now. Been batting second, 2,300. Tonight, he's got a fine matchup against Joe Kelly. I like him quite a bit there. If you look at his last 2 games, he's got 3 doubles and a homer batting that 2-hole there. So I think he's my favorite punt option. I don't think it's particularly close.
No, it's not. It's not close at all. I mean, I don't even think it's a question. I think you do that and you move on. To be honest with you.
Yeah, I think he's honestly going to be the guy that I play at third, or sorry, shortstop tonight. I think that's going to be the end of it for me. You could certainly consider Jimmy Rollins as well, but as we know, all he's really got going for him is that he's in the middle of that potent lineup. But outside
And
of that, I
that's
don't
it.
know.
You know what? So you and I we talked about this a lot, and I think we fell in a trap sometimes of, well, they're in the middle of a potent lineup, but dude does not get on base to take advantage of it. I mean,
Yep.
he has historically he has, but I know the recency bias and all of that. But listen, man, can you get on base once in a while so somebody can hit you around? Like
Yep.
he's just not. He's performing at a non-elite level.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. I hate rostering him because he just like you said, he's just not getting on base. When he gets on base, he usually scores, but I don't know. He's not. He should be a bare minimum punt the way he's been hitting. Honestly.
And I mean, I will say this. I said this to you the other night. You and I were both on Rollins against Miami. I think that was 2 nights ago. He did rope one, and Giancarlo Stanton made like play of the decade, play of the year so far.
Yeah.
And so like yeah, he hit the ball well, but man, like, can you get it together, please? Because you're costing a lot of people a lot of money.
Yep, absolutely with you there on Jimmy Rollins. We're going to get to the outfield where it's the Bryce Harper show once again. In his last 7 games, 14 hits, and 7 of those were home runs. 3 of them were doubles. He's stolen a base. He's walked 4 times. He's by far your top option at any position. I don't care who he's playing. Tonight, he's going against Tyson Ross, who's a good pitcher. I'm still getting a ton of Bryce Harper tonight. Until he cools off, I will be playing him in every single stadium against every single pitcher. I don't care.
Yeah, I mean,
On a 6-game slate, if Bryce Harper has a monster game and you don't have him, good luck catching up.
yeah, no. I hear you there. I definitely hear you there. Obviously it's 5.6K. That's an expensive price tag, but if he does do what we believe he will do, it's going to be necessary to have him. I'm finding out I like a lot of Yankee players tonight. I think Jacoby Ellsbury is priced a little bit too high, but I think Brett Gardner's in a nice sweet spot. I think I like Brett Gardner's price tag at 3.9K quite a bit, actually. And then also somebody that you like, and I'm surprised you haven't said his name yet, Steven Souza at 3.2K. You're against Whitley. I know he's pitched right this year. I think what was it yesterday? He had a solo home run.
Yep.
I think Souza had a solo home run yesterday.
Yeah, I think it was second inning, something like that.
Second inning. So I don't mind Souza either. I really think you'll have some salary depending on routes you go. I think it makes sense to be looking for value in the outfield just because George Springer's coming back off an injury tonight. He's 3 point. Or did he play last night?
He hit a homer.
Did he really?
Yes, he did. My boy.
Last night was his first night back, wasn't
Yes.
it? Of course it was. But yeah, I mean, a lot of it's going to come down to lineup construction and how lineups come out as the day goes. If you played early slate today, lineups were unique, to say the least. People were sending different lineups. No one really knew who was playing. Watch lineups today. It's small slate. Some players getting rest days. And get some value. I have a feeling we're going to have a lot of value, and it's going to make Cueto almost necessity to be owned.
Yeah, I'm with you there. George Springer, like you mentioned, 3.8K. I like him a lot.
And I mean, my other guy, you know who I love, Colby Rasmus.
Yep.
I mean, he's just too cheap. He hits for power. What else can I say? He's 2.8K against Hutchinson. I love running a Rasmus Valbuena in a lineup. You want some upside dong possibility? Put those two together.
Yeah, absolutely. Significant upside there, so that's a good way to go. If you're looking for cheap players, like I said, check out lineups. There's not a whole lot that really stands out right now. Chris Colabello is the guy that I've been playing some right now. Went 0 for 4 last night, but was on fire before that. He's 2.4 against Roberto Hernandez tonight, so I don't mind him. And if you want a tournament option with some power is really cheap, Jay Bruce is $2,500 at home, the Great American against Tim Lincecum, so I don't mind that one either.
No, and I have to apologize to Justin on public. I told him the other night, I'm like, I don't know if you should be playing Chris Colabello in your cash games. It's kind of a punt. He was both of our highest scoring players on the night. Needless to say, we had a bad night. But Colabello, man, I don't mind him as a punt, like you said.
Yeah, and he's near minimum salary, so certainly consider him. And if you want some upside here as well, Mookie Betts against Marinus Elias. He was having a nice little stretch there over his last 2 games, but $3,400, he makes for a nice play as well.
Yeah.
All right, that will wrap up the analysis here for the short slate. Find us on Twitter at DF Cafe, and check out all of our great content for tonight's action on dailyfantasycafe.com.